New videos every day. Life, wisdom, psyche truth, massage.
This is Athena Jezik, and it's been a while since I've worked on Karina, so what I'm discovering here is there's a bit of tension going on. So I'm going to just work as if I haven't worked on her for a while, which I haven't, and get into the muscles and see what is going on. There's quite a bit of tension in the neck and in the shoulders. So let's see, I'm just checking here to see if there's any tension just along the side of the vertebrae. And feeling for just the mobility of everything. And there's quite a bit of tension, especially up through here in the upper back, the trapezius, rhomboid, and into the neck. So it's kind of humid today, so there's a little bit of moisture on the back. Once I get the oil on, that'll make that change. So I'll start by applying the oil. This is kind of tricky. Okay, and then when you're applying the oil, of course, you can get a feel for what's going on as well. Kind of feel into the muscle a little bit. Check how they're moving with each other. Under the skin, in the fascial structures. And there we go for some more. That moisture makes it feel very different. Alrighty, so here we go. I'm going to start up at the head. And work along here these muscles along the shoulder, the top of the shoulder, the trapezius is very tight. There's a lot of crepitus that's along the shoulder blade as well, just here at the top, right around the area of the attachment, the levator scapula. And then we'll just work down the spine. And back up. And there we go again. Each time the pressure is getting just a little bit more because the muscle is inviting me in. So I'm not pushing into this with any great force. I'm allowing the body to be ready to accept a deeper pressure. And the third time down, it's even deeper. And I do move my fingers somewhat in the different area of that muscle. There's 3 different areas that I like to move it toward. And then stretching this out here. There's a lot of tension and something going on right here as well on the edge of the scapula. There's some attachment going on there. It's quite a knot. Could be possibly from guitar positioning and what it takes to actually play an instrument. Sometimes things look so easy and it's oftentimes a little bit painful on the body to hold positions and still move with the strumming and the chords and sitting on a little stool or wherever you're sitting or standing. So I'm going to take some time to go around the shoulder blade here. Work up into it. There's just a lot going on. We go, and then across the shoulder blade. This isn't so bad right here. It seems to be mostly in the area of the medial line of the trapezius or the scapula and the muscles, the rhomboid and the trapezius that's attached into this medial side. Okay, and of course, to conclude, when you work on someone's back, you want to really include the entire back because everything is working together, and there might be some areas down in another part of the back that is being held up. So, and this is really rough down here too. There's a lot of little knots. It feels like a lot of low back strain has been going on. So just to kind of iron these out. Again, I'm using just enough pressure where the muscles are allowing me to come in. I'm not forcing my way in. I'm not doing traditional deep tissue kind of work. I'm just letting the body tell me the depth and the amount of pressure to push on. And when you respect the body that way, if you're working on this with your friends or as a profession, the more you respect the other person's body, the body that you're working on, and let it communicate with you what its needs are, the more dynamic your results are going to be. It's almost like moving yourself outside of yourself to where your head isn't trying to figure out what to do, but you're allowing your hands to guide you. And it's developing a more intuitive sense of how to work on somebody. We're programmed so much to think things through, and everything is so mechanical and almost artificial. But when you start working with your hands on people, you start doing this sort of work. It's an entirely different experience. If you're going to be allowing yourself to be trained outside of the mechanical kind of work that's so often done in these training for these sorts of things. Okay, so how is this feeling in here? It's softer, but there's still some tension going on. But it's much softer, so it's working itself out. It doesn't feel quite as traumatized. Yeah, that feels a lot better. And there's not any crepitus here right now. The crepitus is gone too. That's one thing about working on a body that tends to stay in these alternative modalities, massage or cranial or lymphatic work, is once the body begins to turn on to what it's supposed to be doing, it'll follow itself back to that, unless it's a pretty hard trauma or injury, because the body really wants to be whole and complete, and it wants to function properly. The problem that we have in society is that we don't know how to listen to the body, nor do we oftentimes care. It's more important to have fun and ignore it and stuff it full of food that's not good, which will take a toll on the body to a certain degree. And of course, when we have those sorts of habits of just detaching from what the body needs, what the body's desiring to keep us with vitality and a lot of life, when we stray from that, we're seeing all over the place that people are getting sicker. And then we develop a real victim kind of mindset of that we need help from a system that is basically just making money off of our suffering, and people just cannot seem to detach from that. And I'm of the mind that the reason that people won't detach from a system that's not really helping their health to improve is because the detachment from their body is so wide that they can't get the thinking around how ridiculous it is to go somewhere and take dangerous medications and to turn away from the very environmental medicines that the planet has provided for us that work much more harmoniously with an organic body. So we take inorganic material to help an organic body. It just doesn't seem to make any sense. And after the years I've been watching this, I will have to say that most of the people that I see, at least to start out with, are pretty worn and torn, and they're really a mess. Their physical bodies are a mess. So to get back into the help of our body, we're going to have to change some of the ways that we look at things and realize that disease is really just a big sales pitch. And then they provide you with all these fun foods to eat and all these activities and things to drink and all that kind of stuff to keep us in this separation mode. So it's something to think about, because it all seems to tie together. And right now, currently, it's the end of September, and we are supposed to get a big change in health providing methods from a criminal government. So I'm appalled at how many people really feel that they need that sort of thing, not understanding what it really is about. And it's not about health care. It's about taxing you and taking economically this country down, taking away our responsibility to take care of ourselves. But actually, many people are just choosing to allow somebody to dictate to them rather than connecting back with themselves and doing what's right. Being respectful of what you have as you're alive, which is your body, the most precious thing you have. And the amount of abuse that we do at it, it's actually the disease itself is the perpetrator, and we get victimized by that. It's just a sales pitch, really. Body can heal from all kinds of things if you just let it. Not that there isn't time to use some of the diagnostics or some of the stuff in critical care, but overall, most of this stuff can be handled very easily in an alternative way. Even the things that they scare you the most with. So hopefully some of you will be able to hear what I'm saying at that and take a look at yourself and make some positive changes towards being nice to yourself and giving yourself permission to find ways of starting where you're at and reversing the trend. So this side, because the other side was more relaxed when I got to this side isn't as tight as the other side. There was still the same kind of thing going on in the low back, somewhat of a straining feeling. But the upper back has relaxed quicker because she's relaxing and things are letting go and changing. This has got to be her strumming arm, because it's definitely a little bit more developed. Alrighty, now we'll go down to the spinal vibration, and we're just going to vibrate down the vertebrae. It's just a back and forth kind of motion, or you can do it with more of a bouncy thing, but that takes a little bit more practice to be able to vibrate in that way. Plus it's harder work, so. Then coming up and stretching those muscles that are attaching into the vertebrae it's kind of an inward and roll along the spine. Just kind of roll it out with your thumb. Okay, and then we're going to flip to the other side and get under there. Sometimes it might look like I'm working really fast, and I do work kind of fast, but I'm not shortchanging anything because I'm still getting where I need to be. I'm grabbing underneath that muscle. I'm not going fast and skipping things, but when your hands get more trained, they just know what to do. So it's, and then we'll do this again. Back and forth because it's easier. And then running up, this opens up each vertebrae as you come up toward the head. You're right along the edge of the spine, right where you opened up that previous move, where you opened up those spaces there, soften the muscles. And then we want to go around each vertebrae. Just around each one as we go down. And you can also just kind of use more than one finger, but you want to make sure that you go around each vertebrae. I like to use one as the lead finger coming down, and then I like to rotate around in between with 2 fingers. So I'm actually working into 3 different vertebrae spaces. Okay, and then up we go. And then we're just gonna wrap the body. I'm gonna pull upward first, just wrapping. And wrapping again. And then unwrapping. Just going wide with the fingers, and I like to get in between the ribs here. And the shoulders do feel much better. There's a little bit of crepitus that's deeper in here. Well, maybe not. And then in between the ribs, always nice. Up over the shoulder blades. And along that trapezius. And if you want, you can also just wring it out. When they're this tight, it's a good idea. You pick it up and you just kind of squish it around like you're kneading bread. Or you have clay in your hands. Yeah, there's a little bit still crepitus hiding out in there. Although it's much better than it was. It seems like sometimes I'll get it and then sometimes it won't be there. So it must be disappearing. Okay. So, because Karina had been worked well, she loosened herself pretty quickly. The muscles were ready for it, and they were able to let it all go. Thank you very much. This is Athena Jezik. If you like this, please comment and give us a thumbs up.